Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast, where we take you inside our gym, CrossFit Palm Beach, each week. It's here that we are creating new superhumans every day, transforming people's lives, helping them reach a level of health they never knew possible. We strive to answer your most burning questions on fitness, health, nutrition, training, motivation, mindset, lifestyle, and more. If you have a question, please email us at info@crossfitpalmbeach.com. You can also learn more on our blog, livingsuperhuman.com. And if you have a moment, we'd love a review from you on iTunes. All right, it's time. Let's stop being average and start living superhuman. Hey guys, welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and I'm joined today by
Coach Muggs,
Coach Steve,
Coach Zach,
aka Thor. All right, guys, I feel like it's been a while since we've been podcasting, but it's good to be back. And today we're going to be doing an all Beachfit podcast. And our topic for today is why Beachfit may be better than CrossFit. All right, we're not saying it is better, but there's definitely some things about Beachfit that is better than CrossFit, but ultimately it's different than CrossFit. So a lot of our athletes, they look at Beachfit, or prospective members look at Beachfit as something that's easier than CrossFit, or it's an introduction to CrossFit, like a stepping stone to get to CrossFit. And for some people that's appropriate, but we found that to be not true. We're gonna talk more about that today. So you guys hear it a lot. Is Beachfit easier than CrossFit? What do you think?
Well, we were spitballing about this a couple minutes ago before we started, and we had to kind of pump the brakes before we got into a tangent before it was lights, camera, and action. But the general consensus between all of us is that there's a lot of pros to both of them, and there's definitely not a defining yes or no, the one is better than the other, but more each have their own kind of unique movements, unique kind of programming and aspects to them that both benefit athletes in kind of different spectrums of where you're at in your fitness journey, or where you're at competitively, or where you're at based on what it is you're trying to achieve. And Zach, if you want to kind of jump off of that, you had a couple really good points.
I mean, I think, kind of what he was saying there too is it's all relative, right? So if for some athletes it might be easier to do Beachfit than CrossFit because they're not strength athletes, they haven't trained in that, they haven't trained at that intensity that we work at in CrossFit. Some people that have done a lot of CrossFit and now move over to Beachfit, they'll come in for a random Beachfit workout. Let's say yesterday's workout, that was a 24-minute EBOM. It had a station of rowing, it had a station of assault bike. That's very challenging to do for that long of a time domain when you're talking about somebody who hammers grace real fast. That's their thing.
They're used to 10 to 12 minutes.
Yeah, or shorter, and that's just kind of their jam. So, it really depends on what athlete you're talking about. To say is one easier or harder or better or worse, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I love CrossFit. I've been doing it for a long time. Very passionate about it. I think that you have different objectives. Yeah. So when you go into CrossFit, you take the 10 physical skills, and each day you go in, there's a focus for that day, whether it be endurance and stamina. Somebody that comes from Beachfit that goes into that class might do all right. Then the focus for that day is strength and power, and they're trying to maximize strength and power on that day. Whereas in Beachfit, we don't really ever do that. We're not maximizing strength and power. We're not doing all of that. We're working on different things. We're working on correcting imbalances. We're working on becoming more mobile, more flexible, increasing your aerobic ability, so that you have that bottom of the pyramid. You have those foundational things that need to be present in order to go and take on something that's a little bit more intense. I think teaching somebody how to hit 1 rep max squat snatch has a lot of physical development there that we want to see, but if they can't do a workout for 20 minutes and just keep moving and breathing and flowing, they're probably not quite there yet. So it's really who walks in the door, and for them, BeachFit might be harder or easier, or better or worse than CrossFit. There isn't one just across the board that you would pick that's harder or better.
Yeah, I think just thinking of some situations where I think BeachFit is harder. One is someone who's like typically like very strong, as you mentioned. They're used to really short time domains, or they're used to just like a bodybuilding type of background, or just like a lifting type background. They're not used to minimal rest and just having to go. And then another example, I think with a very new athlete, someone who's pretty inexperienced, maybe doesn't have too much training at all, BeachFit could actually be a lot harder because the movements are simple enough that they can reach a higher intensity, whereas CrossFit, they're trying to learn the technique, and the technique actually slows them down. And throughout that, if you have someone starting out that just wants to lose weight, they're probably going to get better results and more challenging workouts in BeachFit initially than they will if they started with CrossFit, where they're going to get slowed down by the technique.
I totally agree, because you see somebody who is really new to fitness, they haven't done a lot of those movements, you give them Turkish get-ups and some rowing stuff, and things
overhead squats,
things that are very skill-based, or something that requires some technique to get into those areas and get into those zones. It's going to slow them down in a way they're not going to be able to achieve a lot of intensity. But you give them air squats and ring rows and running, something that's very simple, very primal, things that they don't need a lot of prerequisite training to know how to do, and then we get them right into that. We can really get them into a really hard working zone very quickly. And I think with CrossFitters sometimes they're like, oh, I'll take a heavy squat clean and some Turkish get-ups and whatever, because they know they're skill based. They know that they take some time to do, and they take time to get through those movements, and they'll kind of like hide behind that, and they get into something that's really simple, and you have no excuse but to keep pushing and keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
You find out how fit you really are when you have to do that stuff for a long time domain too.
Yeah, I've been humbled a lot by, especially the holds are very humbling. The plank holds, FLRs, some of the overhead carries. There's a lot more of that in BeachFit, and it's very humbling to manage your breathing and your heart rate under that stress. I'm curious, like Stephen Muggs, you guys obviously coach a lot of BeachFit. I've kind of seen a trend with you where you guys take more BeachFit classes now than you do CrossFit. So definitely seeing more benefits over here, or just kind of fits your lifestyle and your why. So what do you guys, why do you guys like to do BeachFit more so than you typically do CrossFit at this point?
You want to jump in on this one?
Am I going first? Okay. I started as a CrossFitter, and I did it for almost a couple of years before we started up the BeachFit program, and I loved it over there. Super challenging. Still, I jump in every once in a while, and am very humbled every time. We did rope climbs the other day, and I'm still sore from it, like just doing different things. But the flow of BeachFit coming in here, it's super challenging for me, because I never was very really good at cardio, I guess, growing up, and I can run for a few miles, but very slow. I've never, he runs like a speed demon, and it just comes natural. So coming over here, and the challenging of a lot of the quicker, the quick runs, and then coming in and you only have a certain amount of time to finish the rest of the reps, and very minimal time to kind of catch your breath and jump right back into it, is super challenging for me. So I guess just the programming itself that you do, Zach, is phenomenal, and I enjoy it more. I like a little bit longer workouts. I like some of the skill stuff, the holds of things that I never knew before. So I just really enjoy it, more my style than anything. And I love some of the workouts next door. I have the access to look at them before the week starts and kind of pick. I'm like, ooh, this looks like something I'd love to do. And some of the days I actually pick the CrossFit because it is a little bit longer of a workout and more my style, but it's more of a mix of a BeachFit and a CrossFit workout. So.
And you've seen your endurance improve.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can hang in there a lot longer. I can run longer. I've PR'd my mile run a couple of times, actually. I PR'd my 3 mile not too long ago. So it's definitely, I can tell a difference.
Awesome.
I think something you mentioned too about being able to see the workouts at the beginning of the week. Something that's really cool that you guys have set up here is where if you have an unlimited CrossFit membership, you can do both classes. And so BeachFit is always an option for you if you're an unlimited member. So I think it's really cool. Sunday night, you can go to the website and go to our blog, and you can look at both workouts. You you'll put them up side by side and start to really make a program for yourself during the week. You don't have to do everything that's in CrossFit. You might say, hey, I want to snatch and I want to clean and jerk this week, but I know my aerobic system is not where it needs to be. I know I don't do well with static holds, gymnastic holds, planking, and FLRs, which are awesome. Yeah, that's why we do them all the time in BeachFit. And then you can start to implement those on certain days. So you're really fine-tuning your own program. You have an option to shore up some holes, shore up some weaknesses, and still get a good CrossFit structured program at the same time. You know, you're not missing those Olympic lifts, which you want to get in. You're not missing days where you're doing pull-ups or rope climbs or all those standard CrossFit movements that we do all the time that are fun and they're challenging. But you still have a day where you can implement some stuff that's going to shore up some weaknesses. Thursday is a day where we put a lot of that functional bodybuilding, I know it's kind of like a buzzword now, like functional bodybuilding stuff, imbalance training, a lot of core work, a lot of static holds, a lot of those things, gymnastic challenging things that we can put in on Thursdays, because we know on Thursdays in CrossFit it's usually without a barbell. It's usually a little bit more of like an active recovery-ish day. Not always, but most of the time. And so we can count on that as we program for BeachFit and say, okay, Thursday, we're going to add in the things that those CrossFit athletes should be doing to supplement what they're doing in CrossFit. So then we can create that for them, and it just kind of fits really well with our weekly flow.
Yeah. I'm glad you jumped in on that functional bodybuilding aspect, and Zach's programming is great with that kind of tied in with it. And I guess we have Marcus Philly's influence to thank for that kind of dynamic, and then your own creative genius kind of molding these awesome workouts. And
Thank you, Steve.
of course. On that, the one thing that's great to see and the potential that we have with that type of programming coming into BeachFit is if you took two ends of the spectrum, somebody who's kind of off the couch, inexperienced, and brand new to BeachFit versus an experienced athlete, whether it's a previous discipline or if CrossFit is the sport that they're choosing to kind of pursue, those days of imbalance correction and the correct engagement of the right areas of our body. So we take posterior chain and midline. That's two areas that we often miss time and time again. And if we start on the bottom end of the spectrum, off the couch athlete comes in and they spend a couple months, which turns into years, hopefully, on that activation, engagement, correcting the imbalances, their development as an athlete over time is going to be way more kind of whole and completed. So 6 months from now, they're feeling the right things that we're trying to coach and that we're trying to emphasize. Coming out of the squat, feeling the glutes turned on. When you're performing something like wall balls, that you're feeling your midline protecting the rest of your body. And on the flip side of that, if you take an athlete who is, say, less engaged or doesn't have that engagement in their body, and they're trying to deadlift over 400 pounds or put, a couple 100 pounds over their head into an overhead squat, and we know that they're quad dominant and that they're, cranking down on a lifting belt to try and compensate for that rather than taking the time to activate first and then engage and then develop correctly, that's an injury waiting to happen. And that's not something we want to see ever with any of our athletes. And that's where those functional days coming in have such a crucial role. And it's easy to just come in and say, oh, this is what's on the board. Okay, I'm going to do this. But it's our job as a coaches to really try and push that why we have this up on here. It's not just kind of the hopper model. There's a little bit of method to the madness there. And that's exciting to see both ends of the spectrum. We give it a couple months. And that's why it'll be great to see more people from CrossFit in here. Forget about the clock, forget about reps, forget about weight. Focus on how my body's moving through space, how I should be activating, how I should be feeling with a body weight lunge, with a shoulder to overhead, with a dumbbell, something super simple. And then, over time, like, oh, I guess that's what it should be feeling like.
Yeah, I mean, I know we do a lot of unilateral work, a lot of overhead carries, carrying objects, farmer's carries, single arm farmer's carries, do a lot of like the single arm ring rows and ring row holds, things like that, just building up structure that's that really should be present if you're going to take on more. If you're going to do more of the weightlifting stuff and do more dynamic movements. How do you brace? How do you brace and breathe at the same time? How do you, all these things seem, as we talk about them, when you speak them, they sound simple, but then when you put them into practice, they're not so much. So a lot of times in our workouts in Beachfit, you'll see it looks like a big giant warm-up from CrossFit.
Yeah.
And we're doing dead bugs and weighted dead bugs for the whole workout, because we know how important it is to get these things solid and make them second nature to an athlete if they do want to move on, because that's what we want to do. We want to see everybody do CrossFit at some point. We want to see everybody want to learn how to snatch. We want you to learn how to clean and jerk. We want you to do those different movements. But we know if you're coming off the couch, there's a lot of prerequisite physical skills that need to be there before you start doing that. And so if we can create something where they're doing that right off the bat and it's part of their everyday routine, then we can do things like transitioning them into CrossFit. And we do a really good job of that. We do personal training sessions to teach them the barbell movements, and then they start doing CrossFit. It's become very, very popular lately. So I think that's a big aspect of what we're doing right now here.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see more people who think in their mind when they're starting, they think in their mind they want to do CrossFit, that even though they want to do CrossFit, they start and dedicate themselves to several months of Beachfit. I think in a perfect world, they do several years of Beachfit because of all the things that you're saying. I think most of us are just way too impatient when it comes to trying to get to that next step. And I think Beachfit is a great place to get everything you need from a results standpoint before taking on that next step of taking on the technical movements of CrossFit. I think just to kind of break it down, like if you talk about a squat snatch, there's so many moving parts of that. Like you have to learn how to squat, you have to learn how to hinge, you have to learn how to brace, you have to learn how to hold something overhead. In Beachfit, rather than trying to teach you the whole movement at once, you're going to take parts of that movement and master each part. So at some point you can eventually put it all together. But if you're trying to learn it in one piece, it can be a difficult thing, and you have to stay really light in order to make it happen.
So much to think about.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about one thing, you're messing up something else, and it is. But it's nice to, like you said, break it down. You don't realize that you've learned it in multiple steps until you put it all together, and you're like, wait, wow, this kind of seems a little bit easier now that I've gone through the process.
And you have to do that time and time and time again. Perfect practice over a long amount of time will create safe, efficient, effective movement. And I think also just, it's one thing to have this idea of doing something like this, but then having the pieces in place to get it done. We have really awesome coaches over here, all CrossFit level 1 certified, level 2 coaches that are coaching this class. So it's not just like we have our really awesome coaches coaching CrossFit, and then we have a couple like chaperones over with the Beachfitters. Like we have legitimate certified coaches that know how to teach this stuff. So we're putting as much emphasis on our clients in here and how they're moving and what's going on with their workouts as we are over there. We do the same amount of programming. We have the same staff meeting going over all of it every week. We meet for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. On top of our staff meeting, we have a Beachfit staff meeting. We do a lot of stuff to make sure that when they come into Beachfit, that they're building themselves up and progressing in the proper way, just like we would with CrossFit. And something that just kind of came to my mind, there are people in our Beachfit that don't care about any of this.
Yeah.
They don't care about being able to stabilize something well or being able to brace and breathe properly. But we're going to teach it because we know that that's the best thing for them. And whether they care about it or not, the end result is they look sexy in their bases. Like either way, they're going to get what they want, but we know that they're going to move safely. So it's kind of like, it's a win-win for everyone. So if it's something that you're like, oh, I don't know if I would want to do Beachfit because I don't really know if I care about, stabilizing and bracing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you don't, but we know no matter what you do physically from here on out, whether it's in the gym or outside the gym, you're going to do it safely, you're going to do it properly, and you're going to look really good when it's over. And I think that's what a lot of people also care about. They're like, am I gonna tone up? Am I gonna look good? Am I gonna get the physical appearance that I want when I come to a gym every day for 45 minutes? And the answer is yes, you are. You are, because you'll come out of here sweating and really feeling like you worked.
If I can piggyback off of that as to why are we confident in that our athletes are going to see that if we get into the sciencey bit of it. Again, this comes down to the programming and how with our staff meetings and with everything that we put together, there's days where it's a little more glycolytic in terms of like move fast, move quickly.
Yeah, high intensity.
Right, the high intensity stuff that gets you sweating, but sure, it's going to be burning off, more like carb-based fuel burning, versus those lower intensity days where you're in that oxidative state and you're just kind of chugging along, and you're getting your engine and your batteries really starting to just get a little bit higher each time, and that's putting you in that fat burning zone. And most of our athletes try and aim for like 3 to 4 days a week. We have some of the really dedicated ones that are here 5 or 6 days, which is great, but chances are if you're popping yourself into class a couple days a week, and then there's sometimes a little bit of running or a little bit of biking or swimming or whatever mixed in between with that, you're really getting a great kind of all-round workout for that particular day.
Yeah, there's physiological benefits that are happening in BeachFit by doing a different kind of intensity than just lifting or just doing CrossFit or whatever it might be. I think it's great I think people, as they build that kind of aerobic system that you're talking about, they're going to recover better between workouts. They won't be as sore. They're going to hopefully be more energetic outside the gym. They're going to improve their ability to breathe and process oxygen from doing those longer workouts where you just have to keep your heart rate consistent. So there's definitely like physiological adaptations that are going to benefit from that. I think you touched on something, Muggs, which is even though we have these like functional bodybuilding movements that have this like purpose and these bracing, I think there's this really nice thing about BeachFit where you can turn off a little bit and you can just kind of go and get in that zone. I think you get, some people like to just go out for a run. I don't really know what that's like, but no, I've done it every once in a while. But like some people like to go out for a run because they get that like runner's high. And I think if you're talking about CrossFit, more of that high comes from after the workout, the accomplishment factor. Whereas I think in BeachFit, you can get more of it during because you kind of hit that like cyclical flow of like hitting my groove and I'm like going from one thing to the next. And I think that's what's kind of cool about BeachFit is you can kind of turn off a little bit in that sense and hit that groove in a workout.
Well, I've had like CrossFitters come over in my class and they're like, but like how many rounds am I supposed to get? And I'm like, it's not about that. And they're like, but no, like how many reps, how many rounds? And I'm like, turn off the CrossFit, we're in BeachFit, like find your flow, pick your weights and go with it. Like turn that little CrossFitter mentality off and just get the good sweat, get the good workout, focus on, everything we've laid out for you and do it. And the class are like, oh, okay, like that was great. And I'm like, so you just gotta turn it off sometimes.
I mean, yeah, there's physical health and there's mental health.
Yeah.
And I think we're looking for people to find wellness and find health in what we're doing here. And that doesn't just mean laying on the floor every day. And that doesn't mean also, having to get really technical and think about every little thing. Sometimes we want to write workouts where, and I know for me personally, I'll come to BeachFit. I did yesterday's workout because that was what it was for me. It was a workout where I could just come in, talk to the people in my group. My wife was here and we did it together and we just kind of went around in the circuit and I just wanted to sweat and move and warm up and get my body feeling good. I wanted to work out without thinking about working out. I just wanted to move and enjoy my time. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, sometimes you should be doing workouts that mean nothing. They don't mean anything other than you're just sweating, your heart rate's going up, and you're enjoying yourself. Like you should at least smile during the workout, enjoy the music, and I wholeheartedly believe that there's a place for that in every week of your training. You should find that. If every single workout you're doing is like super focused on some particular objective or super focused on hitting a certain weight or doing a certain time or whatever it is, if every single workout you do is like that, you're not going to do this for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And we want you to do this forever, right? And that's how you live long and prosper. So I think that's a really, really important part of what we do.
We can pull that down to the other end of the spectrum as well. And if you have a new athlete, whether it's new to BeachFit, new to group classes, new to exercise, new to this environment, it can be all extremely overwhelming. And if you've ever seen Zach working out in Beachfit or doing his own thing, when he's all in his zone, it's quite a spectacle. But if somebody who's brand new to all of this,
Love it.
they come in and they see Thor's stunt double having a good time, you know, sweating and, you know, having fun with Bonnie, you know, Zach's wife. He's getting to work out with her. He's joking around with other members, having a good time, just enjoying that workout. And say it was my first week, and I came in, I was like, wow, that guy's in great shape. These people are moving well. Like, this is pretty scary. That's a great opportunity to just take some of that pressure off, you know, and, oh, okay, you know, he's a good athlete. These people are moving well. They're in good shape. And it's easy for those demons to kind of creep in and be like, wow, this is another level, you know, I'm not ready for this, versus, okay, everybody's having a good time. I can just enjoy myself. Hopefully that makes everybody approachable. You know, we want this to be a good workout for you, but we want you to be part of our community at the same time, you know, and hopefully that's a great icebreaker. It's not necessarily there's a big smile on my face, but it's that energy you're giving off as an individual. And if each person has that, it's that group dynamic that you can feel is welcoming and hospitable and really welcoming. And that's what we want. I mean, this is CFPB's family owned and operated. You know, we want everybody to experience that feeling.
Yeah, I think the idea of doing a workout like that and enjoying your workout, I think is really starting to filter into the CrossFit side, because you're seeing a lot of, one, all of our coaches are doing Beachfit on a regular basis, but also a lot of our members in CrossFit are now coming in and doing a lot of these classes all the time. Sorry. And
Got a little guest appearance by Craig and Rose in the back.
For example, it's Friday. I was talking to Rob Greenquist, who is a member who does almost exclusively CrossFit. And I saw him just this morning, and he's like, you know what, man, I'm just feeling a little, it's like I'm just not feeling like going all out today. And it's a pretty intense workout with the pull-ups and squat cleans next door. And he said, you know what, I'm going to try Beachfit today. I just want to move. And I was like, do it. And then he came back over after class. He was like, I'm glad I did that. That was awesome. I feel really good going into the weekend. So, you know, there's a place for every athlete to do workouts like this, even if it's not correcting imbalances or learning anything like that. It's just to come in and just turn your mind off and just do something that's physical for 45 minutes and then go on about your day.
Yep. And when we talk about it, I think it's like, it still kind of lingers back as like, oh, is it easier because he's using it as like almost like a rest day from CrossFit, but it's not. It's still very hard. It's just a different kind of hard. And you know, again, using that aerobic system, it's promoting recovery as opposed to like glycolytic or lactic, where you feel your legs blow up, like when you do assault bike sprints, which we do sometimes every once in a while in Beachfit. But there's just more of that aerobic flushing nature to a Beachfit style workout, which to me, I personally, I find it harder in the moment. I actually can thrive in those shorter things, so it's really just dependent on the athlete.
Yeah, there's definitely days where it's not easier, because if you were here on Monday and did Burpee Baby 2.0, which is the second version of a workout that we did, interval-based workout with a lot of running and step-ups and burpees, and it was hard. And it didn't matter if you were a CrossFitter or Beachfitter, it was hard, really hard. So it's just, like I said, you've got a different objective when you come in here, and it might be intensity, it might be sustainability, but it's always something that's going to be challenging and doing something different than what they're probably doing next door.
Well, I loved when, after Beachfit, you know, we had it probably for a few months, and then you kind of heard people next door, and they're like, well, why would I go do Beachfit? Like, I do CrossFit. And I'm like, come over to a class. Come over to a class. And it's funny because the people in the beginning that were like, are now kind of regular back and forth Beachfitters. And it was fun kind of seeing people being like, well, I have this, like, why would I go do that? And like, this is probably harder anyway. And then they come in here and like, oh my God, that was so hard. And I'm like, told you, like, it's different. It's not easier, it's different. And then now they've drank the Kool-Aid of the Beachfit, and now they're back and forth over here or doing doubles or, you know, CrossFit in the morning, and they come back in the evening to do Beachfit. It's nice to see that those people that were questioning at the beginning, like, absolutely love it now.
That's the mindset of, I have this, why do I want that, versus, wow, now I have both of these.
Yeah.
And like, what a great kind of arsenal to have.
Yeah, when you get in that mindset of like, what if I started doing 2 workouts a day? And I started adding in, I did Beachfit in the morning and then CrossFit at night. And when you see people like, I use for example like Pam Lee, who has been doing that for a while, and she's just performing amazing. She looks amazing, just like incredible. One of our members that took that into and made it a real thing and made her schedule like that. And
Kathy Spicer.
Kathy Spicer,
killing
people that are just
killing
becoming the fittest version of themselves. They're fitter than they've ever been in their entire life, and they've started doing this Beachfit CrossFit combination. I wish more people did it. So that's why we did this podcast.
One of the things I would like we haven't really touched on much is we almost always have core work or mobility work at the end of a Beachfit class. So even though we have longer workouts, we only have a 45-minute class time. Like it is, I mean, you get a lot packed in a short period of time. I think that's what makes it fun. But then we still almost always have time for the core work and the stretching afterwards. And I love wrapping up the class like that. And it's just like, I noticed sometime on the CrossFit side is that people will hit this high intensity workout, their legs are like still filled up with the lactic acid, and then they're going to sit in a car for the rest of the day or sit in their office for the rest of the day. And there's not that period of like winding down or even that like appreciation of like the effort you just put in. Like I think taking that moment in Beachfit is so nice, even if it's just for a few minutes. And it's almost always there in Beachfit, and it's, you know, it definitely could be there more in CrossFit.
Well, there's two points on that are just so important to health and wellness and your especially your mental health, is that, like you just said, whether it's for some people that 2 to 3 minutes of mindfulness on reflect on what you just achieved and what you just accomplished. Don't worry about Joe and Susie that are next to you. Like, it doesn't matter about anybody else's game. What did you just achieve? Reflect on that, and you can reflect on the week or the day or what's coming up. That's a couple minutes that you've had for yourself, right? And you know, life gets busy, life gets crazy. We don't have time to, you know, meditate for 20 minutes every single day. There's careers and kids and school and this and that and all that going on. So if we can provide that 3 minutes, that's great. And then on top of that, it's the body maintenance. You know, majority of the time we're stretching everyone out. Every now and then we'll throw in some lacrosse ball work. We're seeing more and more athletes grabbing a foam roller and just kind of doing that basic body maintenance. And I'm one who's not that good about that. I've been trying to make an effort of, you know, foam roller next to the bed 10 minutes before I go to bed and make sure that it's done. And if that's if that's you know, if that's the time you're getting to do that, then great. And if each time we're like learning how to mash your pecs with a lacrosse ball one day, and then how to foam roll your lats the day after that, and how to self-reflect for 2 minutes. That's 3 things you can then add into your regime if you get in 5 minutes before class, or you spend those 5 minutes afterwards. It's a little bit. And you know, if you're one of those people who come in, you switch off, you work out, you leave, fair enough. But if you're absorbing a little bit from what we're putting on the table for you to pick up, you know, there's opportunity right there to just have kind of your own knowledge and your own base built up over time. And that's, you know, it doesn't matter where you are in your life or what you've accomplished career-wise, athletically, anything like that. We should always be hungry for that growth. And as something as simple as that, you're just feeding that hunger a little bit. So that's one aspect that we definitely keep in our classes. And you know, as coaches, we try and add in that, hey guys, this is the why behind the method behind the madness.
Cool. All right, I'm trying to see if there's anything I missed. I think one point that I wanted to just touch on is, I think, you know, we've kind of talked about it in different aspects, but I think Beachfit, one of our goals is to kind of take some of the best aspects of your traditional boot camp, which is like you can walk right off the street and get a great workout that first day. It's fun the first day, like you feel like you got your butt kicked. And then also on top of that, you guys have we have great coaching here. You guys create an environment where you're like correcting, the programming is on point. You're getting these movements that you need, not just that you want. And I think there's kind of the best of both worlds, where it's like this fun, fast-paced, mindless boot camp style workout with the stuff that you need that you wouldn't probably do on your own, just left to your own vices. So yeah, I really like that aspect of it, and that's hopefully where the direction we're moving more and more with the Beachfit program.
Yeah, I think it's, for somebody to walk in the door, sign a waiver and go, it's not, there's nothing in here that's all that technical. It's very simple. And most of the stuff is just back to the basics and fundamentals. And that's what we're hammering, because that's what our athletes need. And, for somebody to come in off the street and start, it's not hard for them to jump right in, and we can teach those movements because there's nothing complicated about it. It's just tough stuff, basics and fundamentals that are not easy for anyone. And so it makes it easier for somebody to just start, but we get a lot of really good stuff done either way.
Cool. All right, guys. Last question, is Beachfit at the beach?
It's not on the beach.
I've been wondering this whole conversation. Okay, it's not at the beach. All
It's
right.
in this building.
Thanks for joining us.